Hello and welcome to the Monday Manager Show. In this interview, we speak with Deepika, who is a young and dynamic HR professional and leader at Nirogam Ayurveda. We talk about how corporate companies and leaders handle death of relatives of employees and the challenges around it, how companies and leaders are failing at transitioning to remote work successfully, and the reason for that, and how to handle tough conversations with employees at the workplace and still end up with a harmonious culture and environment. So I hope you'll enjoy. Welcome, Deepika, to my podcast. I am excited to have you here. And do you mind if we dive straight in?
Sure, definitely. Let's start.
Okay. So let's begin with the tough questions.
Okay.
Over the last 1 year, what's the most difficult conversation you have had to have at the workplace?
Difficult one conversation. I think I had with you only, where we were discussing about firing one of our employee. And mostly the problem, so let me give one context to the audience. So we hired an account executive in our company, and she was working fine, definitely at her own pace, right? And I think the problem with us was the fit, right? Because the employee size that we do have is mostly of like not Gen Zs, right? And we hired a newly Gen Zs, and we are also not adaptable to the person like that, how Gen Zs work. And so basically it was kind of a like situation where we had a difficult conversation that how can you not give a chance to the person and opportunities to grow her. I think we had a lot of conversation around that, if you like recapitulate it. And so that was a really
If
difficult
I remember correctly, what happened, so this was around February of this year, right?
Yeah, it was around March, I think.
February or March of this year.
Yeah.
And you had sent me a DM on Basecamp, our
Right.
project management software, that
We are planning to do
we are
that.
planning to give the notice to
Notice.
this person. And then we had a bit of a back and forth about it, right?
Right.
So can you explain a bit more to me, what did you find difficult about that conversation?
Okay, so definitely when I started the conversation, I already had my plan, right? I was very determined that, okay, this is what we decided, and this is what I'm going to do, right?
Sorry to interrupt. For some context, this was, I think, 2 months after this person had joined, right?
3 months, yeah,
3 months.
almost 3, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think I was very determined that this is the decision that we are going to take, and we already took it, and we are only going to just say to that person that this is what we have decided as a company, and you have to share serve your notice period, and that's it. So I was very determined as a colleague that as we both are working, and I do discuss things with you, and so I just DM you with that we are planning this and so I thought that this conversation will you will ask me that feedback that why you decided, and then you will go ahead, okay, Deepika, that's your decision, and let's take it, right? But I think when we started having that conversation, right, there were a lot of points that you were mentioning about that, how you can't give that opportunity, and it's been 3 months, we can even fire like that. And even at the work side, there was not a lot of like issues going on. It was a carelessness at the attitude that was the main issues that we were fighting that person. So with coming with the context and then getting barging with the questions, you asked me this question. So I think at some of the point that I was also not aware that you will come with lot of questions, and my mind was like blank, right? Sometimes, and what to write, what are the things like to ensure. Sometimes that you got irritated also, right, in the between, like, oh, I decided, and then this is coming and like that. So this was the one thing that how to handle even that type of conversation.
For some context, I can also add a bit here. You had shared that the team had decided, they had looked at her performance and her attitude or whatever, and decided that this person needs to be let go. And I asked you certain questions about, okay, tell me exactly what about the performance was not great, right? And then you had shared certain things, and my whole point there was that this is someone who's a fresher, who's joined their probably their first proper job, and we are letting this person go after 2.5, 3 months.
Right.
And my whole argument there was that, we need to give people a chance,
Thanks. Yeah.
right? And especially because they are a fresher.
Right.
Uh, and if we feel, and another thing, and this is also a role that we had tried to hire for a couple of times,
Right.
right? We
Right.
had one failed hire 2 years ago who had also
Yes.
left within 2 months or 3 months. And then we had another hire, but that person had to go due to certain family circumstances. And then this was the third attempt
Hard
for
hiring.
us for
Yeah.
this role. And I felt that my feeling was that we are giving up too soon on the person itself, and that things like attitude and how to even do a job, a lot of those things are not taught to students at all, right? And some place has to take that chance on them and teach them those things and stuff. And I remember in the middle of a conversation I got quite frustrated, and I
Yes.
said, it's fine, you guys can go ahead with your decision, but this is what I feel, and I feel that very strongly. And I feel really sorry for the company that we have reached a stage where, on one hand we say we stand by people, and the other hand we are waving the white flag so soon. And I
Right.
think that's where the conversation had ended. And
Yeah.
and I remember I even wrote a LinkedIn post about it. Of course, I didn't mention that it was our team and everything. Um,
Okay.
so that's what the conversation was. So now tell me, uh, oh, now you can add a bit more context on this. And how did you personally receive it? What was the reaction when you shared it with other people? What happened afterwards? Because then I don't know. The only thing I know is a while later, I saw that, okay, all discussion about her leaving stopped. So I never heard back on what happened. So I have no idea. I just have that conversation that we had.
Okay. So I think what I started with that having the discussion, and you given that we are giving up so early to that person, and I think the major issue was with her about the casualness that she takes works very casually, and I think that was the one thing that we are not liking, and it's a data role, right? So the manager has the same issue. Definitely, like we have given a chance to improve and all of the thing. But what happened after that we had our conversation? I just took all of the conversation to the manager and to the CEO of our company. So I just written down everything that what we have discussed. That Raghav has this viewpoint. So we got a call from the CEO, and we three of them discussed that this is the only one issue. I think major issue was that only, because this is a data job and she has to do the bookkeeping. We can't be like wrong in that.
Right.
So then we decided to give her 3 more months to see that whether she is improving or not, and actual feedback were given. So what we improved, or we also improved in our system, that we created an expectation list. So
Right.
what we were asked to do is that create an expectation list, clear expectation that what that person has to do in, let's
Right.
say, 3 months. So we written down each and every expectation, even if it was like on the base camp what she that person has to do. I think the manager has listed all the things,
Right.
and I think when we shared this over the email and everything, so I think slowly and steady with the trainings also, she required training for that in lot of like where the improvement were needed in the data, and she did that. So I think one thing major changes was that giving the expectation list from that what
Right.
we expect from you, and that's really changed a lot of things for us. And I think right now manager is going on leave again, maternity leave, and she's happy that now she has a team that who's handling, and she's only handling when she'll be on the leave.
Right.
So I think, yeah, that expectation let's definitely happen. And one thing that we also learned through our is that not give up. Like one sentence that I could take away from all of the conversation that we had. And same thing, I think we as a three-person were in the discussion. We three realized that yeah, let's give us also a time to understand the person, right? I think maybe we are giving up so early on her also.
Right. Yeah, I personally was quite surprised that all three of you changed that decision. Of course, I am not in any ways involved in that decision making because I am
Right.
not handling that work. Um, but now that I see that colleague today, at least from the outside, it seems that they have matured a lot along the way as
Yes.
well.
True.
And so I'm happy to hear that, things are working out with that person. Yeah, it was a difficult conversation for me as well. How do you have that conversation as someone who's not in any way in the decision making chain. So having to share that feedback, and I felt certain statements that I used were harsh as well. For example, I felt I remember specifically I wrote, I feel very sorry for Nirogam today.
Yes.
And you said, how can you say that? And I said this is my personal opinion that, as a company, we are giving up on our people too soon.
Yeah.
It was actually a tough conversation for me as well. And the different the thing is, whenever I personally have a difficult conversation, it takes a physical toll on me the next day. So I
Right.
just feel very drained and exhausted and things like that. But which this brings me to another question. You have you had so deciding to let go of any person is not an easy decision, of course, right? So have you had any points in your career so far where you have had to let go of someone, and personally you felt it to be a very, very difficult choice?
Right. So at the time of COVID, you remember that we had a great, like, 20 people we had added to our team. At that time, we were a very big size, and I was the person that who involved in all of the hirings.
Right,
So, but we have not only let go the like new person that we have hired, but we have also like let go very old employees that were already working before me. So there was a lady doctor, and I think she was when I met her, I was like, how brilliantly that she's managing at the time of COVID. She was the one that who was taking the call and all, and she's very streamlined in everything, and I
right,
really like her personally. So like earlier when because at that time I was working as an executive level,
right.
so definitely I was not involved in the decision,
You
right?
were a fresher as well at that.
Pressure, yeah, I think at that time, and it's been not pressure rather, but yes, not involved in the decision. It
Right,
just communicated to me,
sure.
and but when the discussion happened, that I was also like be there with that person. So when I got the news that we have to let go, right, her, so I personally felt bad for her. And even in one of my podcasts, I also asked the same question to Puneet sir, that in to our CEO, that you regret like you fire somebody, do you regret? And we both regret, like that, oh no, we should if we have to rehire, we can really definitely want her to back, like here in Nirogam. Sorry, you please.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. So I think at that time the discussion were going on, and internally I was feeling, no, I think we shouldn't take this. Like, no, we shouldn't let it go. Like, but at that time, that was the decision we took as a company, because at the COVID we were really like managing, or at the business that we were doing it now was not going great, right? And mutually that we downsizing, because we don't require at that time the large team, and we hired so many of the person, like even so many departments were there that we definitely not needed at that time.
Right,
So and a decision. So I think that was the one time I felt that we have to. Personally, I went, no, I think she should be there. She's very good at her work, and like that. And the second time was also again. Um, I think you were also in that discussion. And personally, I really like that person. And she was very process oriented person, like we do have in a customer service, right? And when we were having a discussion, no, I think we don't require. And she was also an old person I'm referring to, if you say, remember, not your hire, but
yeah,
the old. So she was a person now, like she was a person. If you will give that to now, you have to achieve this. She's the person that she will wonderful do it, right, with her own time management, and a lot of things were like she was handling at her in-laws and like all of the things.
yeah.
But I really liked that girl from the first day when we hired, and so because of the process, right, we were shutting down the customer service, and due to that we have
Because we
to
shut down our India
yeah,
operations.
Indian operations, and there were no work in the customer service, right? So that was the one thing that, yeah, I think personally, if I have to take one decision, not on the, because definitely we are setting on our process, but definitely she was a very good person, I think, and she is right now, she's also working with some other company, and she's doing very brilliant job. I'm in touch with her. So yes, that was the two hires.
You mentioned this time when had you were involved in the hiring of 20, 25, 30 people, and then you had to also let go of 15, 20 people as well, right? Oftentimes, HR is portrayed as these heartless people, but did that period take any toll on you? Like,
Yes.
how was it for you personally, just going through that entire process?
Okay, so I'll take you to the time when COVID was there. So I think every 5 or 6 days, we got a new position. Okay, we are hiding, we are hiding, we are hiding. So I think COVID hit us in 2020, right? 2019, but 2020 was the time that everything was shut down and we were
Yeah.
working remotely. I think in 2021, when we tried a lot of things, we tried definitely a lot of things with launching new products, doing new services. We did that,
Hmm.
and nothing was working at that time. So I think it was a decision came that now we have to downsize, right? As a lot of things were not working. So I think it was that my manager called me, Deepika, book a meeting with that person. So first I assumed it would be the common meeting that we were having. And it was like a long list of a meeting she told me to put. So I thought that it might be some business meeting that they were discussing any projects and like that. When I heard it, then why we hire them if we have to fire them in 1 year? Because hiring is very difficult. And sometimes like it's too tough. We do had a like 2 months in 2 months we need to close the position like that. At that time I worked like anything. I had to work in the night to just manage all the things because we had I think 10 or 15 position to open at one time. And I was when I heard that, oh, we are letting them go, and I was like, why to hire them? It's been just 1 year and we have done nothing, and then we are firing. So mentally I was discussing it with my like friend and all. I was like, the decision will also come, no, Deepika, you also have to go because we are downsizing. And like the first thing came into my mind, no, I think that might be we are setting down the company too. It
Right.
might be that I'm also losing the job. It's like, because it's been, I think, 12 people we fired at the straight in one meeting, I think. In one day, I think we fired slowly from the, like, let's say in the digital marketing team meeting is happening, 2% we are firing and like that. So I think personally, I was always in the, oh, if she'll call me for the meeting, that means I'm going from this company.
Right.
Company is shutting down. Even this was right, Raghav, at that time now, when I used to call employee that you have a meeting. Oh, मैं fire तो नहीं होऊंगा ना.
Right.
Deepika, there is any decision that's going to. Well, no, I don't know about it, but I don't know what the objective of the meeting. Please connect, come. So
Right.
people are very scared about the meetings again at that time. Everybody is scared. Even me, I was also scared because it was a very new job to me. It's been only 1 year. I was into, and I was like, oh no, I'm losing the job. Every time this was like, well, no, I'm losing the job. And every employee very scared at that time.
Yeah.
So definitely mentally it's take a really toll on you.
And like you said, it's a very stressful time for people, especially when they are being laid off, right? Were
Right.
there instances when people used you as an outlet for that stress?
Yes, lot of times I think, and it happened mostly with the old employees, right? Because
Right.
they were working there from last 13 years, from 5 years, 6 year, right? So
Hmm.
they vented like anything, like they are venting that how come you do this to me, and this is not a good company. It's all because of your manager. She's just
Right.
putting all of the drama and act that she's very nice and like that. They used to like, don't give me any benefits. I don't want your money and like that. So lot of things that I heard at that time.
And
It was really
how did
difficult
you
even.
how did you react personally when that, because it can often be very difficult to just be at the receiving end of someone shouting or venting at you, right? So
Right.
personally, emotionally, how did you handle that situation?
So when I got a call, like, and I think on Zoom also people come and vent it out on me that this is like a drama you guys did and all this. So I used to listen. I think. I just used to listen. Yeah, tell me what's the problem. Okay, this is the one thing, and like they went. So then in the last, like I know that when you are like let's say that you are hearing that you're fired,
Hmm.
and if I'll be at that person, then I'll feel like from tomorrow I don't have a job, right? How can I feed my family, and all those things reminds me, right? So I think personally, because when we are fighting now, this was the thing coming into my mind also. If
Right.
I'll get fired, I will be the person, I'm also going to curse the company that, yeah, because of you, because of your process, because of your planning, we are
Right.
going through this. And that was the COVID time. Definitely COVID was over, but definitely jobs were not there. Market were not very much fine, like at that time 2021 it was very hard to find a job, right? So I think if I'll be at their place at that time, na, Raghav, I might also have went right on some other person, and they went it on me as an HR. And I feel that somehow HR job, initially I felt that it's to always like listen sometimes because they are not, and I personally don't take it, to be very frank, because they are not venting it out on as me as a Deepika, right? They are venting on the process that took their job. They are venting on the that system that they're renting, right? So I think I listened, and I'm very good with listening. So I just listen, and at the end, when are you done? Do you need anything from me? Any paper, anything that I can help? I do have a contact. I will give you. Uh, so they were like, I don't need, just, and they cut the call. So definitely, it's very difficult for me too. And after that, sometimes I also feel like, yeah, this person, I think if we could have done something in a some better way, maybe some better planning, instead of giving them 1 month of notice period, we might have planned it better, right?
Right.
So at that time, might be as a company we don't have that resources, because we already was in crunch, like. So that was also difficult from the company side and from the employee side. But definitely the planning can be, like, at that time we can plan better, like.
And how did you, like like you said, you're a good listener.
Hmm.
But for example, what happens with me is that if people keep venting at me, venting, at a certain point, my own, if you imagine it as a vessel, my
Hmm.
vessel fills up. And after
Right.
that, I need to take a time out
Hmm.
to recharge and, get that level lowered again before I can take some more, right? How do you handle all of that personally? Like, are you the kind of person where it's fine, people can just come, say whatever, and then you listen to it, you acknowledge it, and then it's done? Or does it stay with you for a while?
So like I'm the person, Raghav, where if you'll vent it to me, right? So first I will listen and listen, because at that time I think that person needed that listening from my side. Because
Mhm.
if the person is coming to me, and the same happened recently with me, I think the person vented, I listened, and there was some agreement happen on the call. Okay, one thing that the person wants to convey this message to somebody else, and there is a one thing that the person wants to just vent it out and done with it, right? So went, and then I think after 1 or 2 times that scenarios happened, I think we should do that to you. I think this is the one thing that we can do for you. Let's come on the call, let's do. So I'll start giving them like kind of something, so that they can also be calm at that time, maybe.
Right.
And personally, what happened if that vessel fills up for me, I really shut down everything. Definitely, I don't take off. Like you really switch off from your work and everything, and you take your personal time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm very like a person. I don't want that in
Right.
even, right. I don't take that time off. I try to do my work, but definitely it's coming in, going through and through into my mind that how can I do this thing better? What was there my fault? I'm the faulty one. And
Right.
sometimes I discuss this with one of my colleagues, right? That I do have 1 or 2 colleagues that I talk to them.
Yeah.
And I really talk to them. I think, what should I do? One thing to make me feel at ease. At recent time also, I decided I talk to my friends and like that. And if nothing works, Naragav, I do my art. I think at that time I'm very clear with my thinking. So like straight I go for 1 or 2 hour of artwork. I calm myself, and okay, this is the thing now. What next I have to do? So for me, the art thing is very relaxing,
Right.
and I just sit down. I just sit down and do things, plan my things. Sometimes take time of time of like 1 hour, 2 hour break. That's it. Not like I'm not the person who would just not do my routine work. I will do my
Right.
routine work, right? So
Yeah.
like.
That's an important skill to build, how to handle stressful situations, or how to cope with a lot of emotional baggage that comes at you.
Right.
And it's not something that we are taught how to do.
Definitely.
So you managed to pick it up over the years, which is, kudos to you. I struggled personally with it for a long time, till I figured out what works for me. Um, which brings me to my next question. You joined this company, and immediately you went into a cauldron, let's say.
Huh.
You had to hire so many people, you had to fire so many people, you got a lot of HR experience, the typical HR experience that people talk about. Since then, how has your role changed, or how have you personally evolved? Um, is your view towards HR still the same as when you had started? Like, when you had started, what did you think HR did, or what did you think HR is supposed to do at the time when you had joined?
Okay. So Raghav, when I joined, there was different process, right? We are doing, we are exactly the opposite of. So when I joined, we do have a set of rules that has been set here with the company guidelines. That we, even for the hiring, we do have a rules right here. Hire in this month, like 2 months, the timeline were set. The person needs to have these skills. Will not go beyond of it, and like that. Even in at every step with the leave, with attendance, and every we do have a set of rules. We don't go beyond that, right? Like a strict HR, right? If you
Right.
are 5 minutes late, you will be like getting
Half a
penalty.
day attendance gone.
Yes, and all of those things. So that is the typical HR role, right? When
Right.
I started, that happened. When the firing is happening, you do have to give certain amount, and that will be the notice period. Not going beyond of that. Leave can't be encashed. There were a lot of set of rules that we already had in our system. So with and now what I'm operating with is totally different. Here we do have a
What's
guidance
different?
still. Like I think one of the things that we let go is that putting strictness and penalties to a lot of things that we definitely changed. Or one thing that earlier what we are having the HR system, but we are not having the planning of it, right? What we are doing is exactly is that what HR do: hire, fire, strict rules, regulations, follow the policies and all of the things. But right now, whatever we are doing, we do have a plan for it. We do have an objective set, right? Right now, even if previously we were doing performance management, right? But now the performance management is very different, and we do have a set some flexibility also according to the team, according to the group, right?
Right.
And so that is a shift. You see, the flexibility is the I think one of the major shift that we had in all of the things, be it policy, be it our rules, guidelines, because we do have right now also we do have everything, but definitely with better planning, with a better objective.
So when you say you still have everything that was there then,
Mhm.
and you have those things today as well,
Yeah, a lot
so
of
what
things.
has changed? Because it's not the
Mhm.
same, right?
Yeah, it's not the same.
Um, and your view about what HR should be has also probably changed.
Yes,
So
teaching.
what has that change been?
So if I'll talk about the change specifically, we do have still the policies, Raghav, right? But earlier we do have a lot of penalties thing, let's suppose in the leave, in the attendance.
Right.
But we let go those of penalties, we introduce flexibility in it, right? I think human sense, you say. We are now more put human element into the all of the guidelines that we do.
Right.
We do take look into the human thing, right? We are human and things can happen. So I
Right.
think we also look at that from that perspective, right? So I think that is the one of the major shift that we did. And a lot of the processes that we have changed. If we don't feel that this is not what the culture is, we definitely not do it. We don't repeat it. We try. If things doesn't work out, we don't carry it, right?
Okay.
For sometimes we do change, and earlier we do not. We are very rigid with our policies, with our set of guidelines.
Right.
But right now we do let go things. If that's not working, that's okay. We are moving, right? We are moving ahead.
Okay.
So I think that is the one major change. I
And
think also on the planning side too, we changed a lot.
and was it easy for you mentally to make this change? Like how did how did you react, or how did you even lead a lot of this change? Like, did you have to make certain mental shifts uh, in going from a strict warden like HR with a stick in her hand, to beat employees if they stepped over the line, to what it's today? Like, did you have to make certain mental shifts as well?
Okay. So I think it happened after 2 years when you joined. Like earlier, we do have set guidelines. We were following like a strict right set of rules. We can't go beyond of that and all of these things. I think it's also when the strategic change is happening and how your leaders are right.
Right.
Like at that time, that how leader impose that change also matters.
Right.
And I think that was the very good thing happened with me because the leaders were changing. I was at that time executive level. I was at that. My career was only for 2 years at that time. Also, when you joined, so I feel like why not take a mental toll now? Because sometimes you get frustrated with the change, right? Sometimes you got irritated. Now I have to do, and I like that. But that doesn't happen with me because I think the leadership took control, make it as a very easy way, right? We are not like what we did is that we slowly and steady change the things. It's not that at a one time we implemented a lot of things. I
Right.
think one by one, step by step, you think baby step that we have taken and we changed everything. That how we usually operate and slowly and steady making everything more human for our employees. And right. So I think that's how it was very easy change for me personally.
Okay.
And I think maybe you say that my personality was also aligning there, like, and sometimes I was not like in earlier, might be I was also not like feeling good about it. And I just, when you implement or maybe when we propose something, I also felt at the same pace, right? So when alignment is there, it's very easy to change in system.
Right. And how do you feel now that now it's you who's leading everything, who's responsible for all the HR related work that happens in the company, and you are like owning this entire people side of things. Uh, how do you feel today in terms of who you are as a professional?
Okay. So if like we do have a group of circle, right? We talk about, and I think at that group of circle, you realize that what you have achieved at that time. So everybody like talks, like I in my company something is happening and like that. So when I hear a lot of stories and stories about HR, what they are doing and all of the things. So when I feel like that whatever that we did in Niroga it's really very like good. I feel very good about it professionally, like, oh, now, oh, we are not doing it and we are talking about human things first. We are definitely putting employees first over everything. So professionally, if I see that, I really feel good about it, like that my career from being an strict HR or a warden type of HR to a person that was enabling that change, right? And in the change, I was a part of it, right? All of the culture that we are creating and everything. And it's really feel like, I if I was at that level, I just jumped to it to here. So professionally, definitely it's really build a confidence also when I'm talking to the person that we do this thing very differently at my company
Right.
organization. Yeah.
Right. Um, could you give any examples of what you mean by the differences that you see within your circle of friends and colleagues? And
Okay. Yeah. So that suddenly I had a smice in my family. So I was really very supported at that time from my organization that you don't need to work. Not only the leaves and everything, but definitely everybody was there asking me and supporting me in my organization, right? And same thing happened. My sisters are also working in the corporate. No, they were. She called like, no, you have to join the office. You can't be if you. And I think after 2 days of things happened, her team member called and asked to work, right? No, you have to work because we don't have people there to manage, and they have a workload, lot of workload. So I think in what context, and this scenario is the one scenario, Raghav. I think I do have a lot of scenarios going on because the one most important thing that right now required with the AI and everything, that support from the team, right? And at that time, that your team is not supporting you, and the support was very simple, that to be there with you, to listen to you, to support you emotionally, right? I think that was the one very bad thing. Like I felt very bad about her, that ki how come? But definitely we are earning, right? You have to make money to survive, and and that's how corporate works, right? The corporates wants you to work like gadha mazuri, like that thing. But the same corporate will not support you at the time. They might has given you like that support emotionally. So I think that's where I feel like the culture that we have built here and the support system that we do have, right? And that's really needed in all of the HR thing. Like if they are working, I think something that you do have to plan for your support, like how you are supporting and how you are building that supportive culture. And you're not only speaking about it, and I think you must do this. And there are a lot of contexts, like lot of scenarios I have, like I listen in circle of groups, like happened with same. You got like 3 hours late, you didn't do the projects, they will like fire you at that time only, right? Your mistake was not at that big, but they will fire you because they have a process, like you did that. So that's a lot of context, and I think that's where the HR has to like think a lot, right? So treat employee as a human first, not a machine. I think that is the one thing.
and you make a very important point, all of us in our lives, we experience things like the passing away of a relative. It's something that is guaranteed. All of us will experience it at one time or the other.
Right.
I did in December last year, you did recently. Why is it that in today's corporate world, there is such a lack of empathy for employees. What's your feeling about that?
I
Because I
think
see it everywhere.
yes, every company. Like recently, you on the LinkedIn, lot of people post that their mother died in the morning and they have to like lead the project, finish the project, and then the person has to die. I read about it on the LinkedIn, and there were a lot of people, and even one of the employees died. So on LinkedIn, there are a lot of stories going around it. So
How
I
did
think
they
that
handle it?
yeah, so that's happened, and I think one thing that's missing out, like a leader. I think HR, you can't say that this is an HR also role. It's a leadership lacking role also because big MNCs, what their leadership is all about. That the projects, there are projects, you have to do it on the times. There are the deadlines. They don't care about you, basically the care, the empathy. They don't have anything. They definitely care about the money, right? And I think they don't want to operate in the way that we think, that they want to operate in a some of the systematic way, that an employee, we are giving the money, and you have to like work for those hours, give the work and go. That's the only relationship that they want to build, I think.
Right. But tell me this,
Hmm.
even these leaders, they would not have started this way, right? They would also have been in the same situation. They would have also wanted that empathy and things. So, in your opinion, where does that shift happen when where they go from being someone who actually has those values to then someone who just becomes an operator by the Excel sheet and looks at people just as numbers and billable hours?
Right. I think you always heard about engineering college about ragging, right? We do this thing. So what seniors say that no, when we were the junior, we had to go through this. So you must go through this. I think that is the one thing also. Like,
Right.
okay, I also like been to this, right? So now I am the leader, okay, and I also want you to experience this, right? There might be some leader that maybe their viewpoints will be different, that okay, I gone through this phase, I don't want my team member to go right on the same pace and all those things. And there are a lot of leaders that who definitely support their colleagues, their team
Right.
members, but definitely there are some that they want them, and I think might be they want to lead in that way, they liked maybe something in that leadership,
Right.
and they might think that if I'll not be strict, the work will not get done.
Right.
Ultimately they want that
So is
objective,
it
the
a
result.
is it a question of a lack of good role models or a lack of a personal internal compass? Like, what is it? What could it be?
I think definitely, if I say the good role model, you say, right? So I think, you know what, sometimes we have to suppress our personal feeling at work, right? When we are working. And eventually, if you met the same person outside the office, the person will be different. And when you are meeting the person in the corporate office setting, the person will be different because they think like that that's my job, right? I have to do and I have to go. But definitely the role model, that's your way of doing, taking the leadership ahead, right? So I think this is how the person would like to lead the team, and they don't want to be that maybe they also have a fear, Raghavna, that what if I'll support my team in every decision, what if my job will be like a question markable, right? I have to be the leader that who give positive result, because I have to also be stay in the company, right? I have to be strict with my team so that they can do the work, so I can also grow, right?
So, in your opinion, then is there no escape from this cycle?
Definitely we did. I think if we talk about, we really changed our leadership and culture here.
But
We
what has changed? Like the CEO is still the same. He has
CEO
been
is
the
still the
CEO
same.
for decades now.
Yeah,
Then what changed? How did we change so much?
we changed ourselves. I think that was the CEO realization only, that the system
Right.
that we are working is not working. This is not how we want to operate. This is now, because I think when I hired the seven distinction that we have right now, also we do have the distinctions, right? So
Uh,
So when I got hired, we do had a seven distinction, and right now
uh,
also we do have a seven distinction.
what do you mean by distinctions?
So in here we do have a seven distinction of being recognized, the values
Like
that are
the
seen.
values, the corporate
Values.
values. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Like Puneet sir always say that you want a very you want to hire a person who's very good with integrity, the
Right, right,
communication.
right.
So we do have those seven values
Yeah.
that he really follow. So at
Okay.
that time also we do have to follows those values, and
Right.
still we do, right? But
Right.
what is the major change is that how we operate, rather, I think. And I think Puneet sir has changed. Puneet sir don't want to operate in the same way that people are coming 9 to 5 job. We are doing just job, working about a lot of things. But definitely right now we shift that. We are not micromanaging it. We are
Right.
not looking after each and every project that what person is working. We made our people responsible for it, right?
So you're
So
saying that the leaders have to reach a point where they realize that, okay, maybe the way they are operating isn't really the way forward as well, right?
yes,
So, like, once a leader of the company or the team has that realization, then that change can happen.
right,
Right?
definitely.
Um, that's interesting.
And I think, you know what, Raghav, sometimes, you know what, our CEO really listen to us, I think. So even if you are at the very leadership role in up top management, I think one thing that top management should always do is getting the feedback. And you know what? Not always go with the straight feedback. Hey, do you have any feedback for me? And like that. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes in the process, we got feedback, right? Even maybe some employees has experienced this. They share your personal experience with you, and that clicks you. Okay, I think that in that way we can do something better. Or and that happen always in the conversation. So I think Puneet, like our CEO, also got a lot of insights from our conversation itself, and
Right.
he also got the idea that how he wants to operate now, because he has taken those side also. What were the implications and everything? So definitely, the
Right.
both leaders have a very big role into it, implementing the change. That how you want to lead the team.
Yeah. That's a very good point. And building on that, what I also see a lot on LinkedIn is leaders complaining about remote work, right? Every day you
Yes,
see one leader or the other say, "Oh, we miss those coffee cooler, um, sorry, water cooler
water cooler.
chats and the coffee machine chats and all of those things." But and so what the trend is that people are moving back from remote work to in-person work, right?
Right,
Whereas what you have led over the past few years here is that you have led a shift from in-person to a remote
remote work.
thing, and it seems to be working. Well, how did you make that change happen?
Okay. So I think when the COVID happened, like definitely our employees are very used to working in the office. You know what? I sometimes one employee was there. I want to go to office. I don't want to work in the remote setting because I don't want to sit at my home and work, because I think the person got disturbed through it, and it was not a very easy job, Raghav, initially. Right now, a lot of, I think every organization gone through it, and every organization is working remotely, and they can remotely work, like they can really find with it, right? But you know what? I think it's definitely there were a lot of challenges. First is your time management, how you are dealing, because you are living in a family. People will come to you, ask, "Can you do this?" Guests are coming over. Something happened with your family, you have to go there, and all of this stuff, right, happened. But I think thankfully, the team that we are handling right here, that they are very like set their routine in that, right? Even they, because it's also adaptability, right? If you are ready to adapt into this, you can easily go, right? Initially everybody has a challenge with, I don't have an internet, I don't have a good set of workstations, and lot of things, right? But definitely over the time we listened, we created system around it, like we implemented Basecamp to see the tools, right? Implementation of the tools, make it easy accessible for everybody. And I think tools play a really good role when you're setting up one of the remote settings. And also a lot of like check-ins, right? Have a team, regular team check-ins, team meetings, because I think water coolers, like you were talking about, have those 15 minutes check-ins, right? We can have those remotely.
So what you're saying is, you cannot just expect the environment that exists in person to then
Right,
also magically appear remotely as well, right? You have to
right,
completely redesign work for the remote setting.
right.
You cannot try to copy how you worked in office to a remote setting, right? The remote
Definitely
work requires completely rethinking how we work, rethinking how we create systems for building connection among the team members,
true.
rethinking how we even operate, right? So how did we do that? Because many companies struggle with this every day. Like, they
Right,
struggle to lead. teams remotely. And one of the biggest problems that they highlight is we don't know if people are working or they're
Okay.
sleeping or they're going for a walk. They have no idea. So people struggle with this sense of a loss of control, right? So how did you design things differently?
So I think Raghav, when you make your people responsible about their work, I think that's really play a key role in it when you're setting up the remote work. Definitely, one thing that you have to lead with that you have to stop micromanaging them. I think when
Yes.
you are just asking every time, calling them, hey, are you working or not, or like that. When you stop doing that and make responsible, like make them responsible for their work, for their project, right? And I think the deadline setting. I think give the deadlines of it, like this is your work, do it in that set of like timeline that you have set for that. And I think that is the one way to go about not micromanaging them. Okay, so
So you're
and
saying make them responsible for outcomes
yes,
and timelines, but don't micromanage how they
do
deliver
it.
that on a day-to-day basis.
Right. Like, what do I care if you don't work in the setup 9 to 5? Why do I care? Definitely, there are some of the time that I want you in the system and I
Right.
want to communicate to you, right? I think everybody should communicate that these hours you have to be present, right? Because that's the hour that's we need you. Maybe sometimes the meetings happen and we do
Hmm.
have right now we do have set like 2 to 3 we are keeping all the activities. So
Right.
be present in that those activities. So I think communication also plays a very keen role here in setting up the remote work. Like stop doing the micromanaging, be communicative about each and everything. And I think choose the right tool that what works with you. Basecamp is working for us, might not work for your team, right? So choose the right tool for your team, that what your team is good working with, right? That's also play a good role
Right.
in managing that.
And another big thing that leaders struggle with is building relationships in a remote team, right?
Right.
A big complaint which people have is, I sit all day in front of a screen and then I lose touch with team members, etc. Right? But we don't do things that way, right? We have actually a lot of intentional activities and systems to help team members build those bonds. How did
True.
we do that? Like, how did that start?
So I think sometimes it's all also about collaborative approach, Raghav, right? When like you come up with me, Deepika, I think we should do this. Other team member come and say that we do this thing, right? You know what? At one time, Raghav, we were also like working in the silos. You remember at that time nobody was interacting, no nothing were going on, and
When I first joined, yes.
yeah.
That
So
was the big complaint that everyone is working in silos.
yes, everybody is working in the silos. They are meeting only for the AHMs and one or two activities that I was leading, like and like that. So I think that the feedback, I think I receive this feedback from everybody. I don't know that what people are working on. We don't meet, we don't check-ins, right? And lot of check-ins that when we started having, you had in a weekly meetings, we had a weekly meetings, weekly fun activities we do. We also had the discover and develop sessions, and we also given in like included team member. So it's not always a leader responsibility to, right? Give that responsibility to your team member also. They might do things differently, and here what we shared our responsibility with them to make the remote work lively, right? And I think they did it, and they also participate in a lot of activities. They plan, they host, right? And we play a lot of time.
Right. So
So
what
yeah.
what you're saying is the team is themselves also very involved in creating systems for relationship building,
Right.
remotely. So one is that there are all of these activities that happen every week,
Hmm.
every other day. There's some small activity or the other that's happening, which just brings everyone together and helps people catch up, right?
Right.
Um, and what about physically meeting? Like, does the team have you designed certain things to help the team also meet physically?
Right, we do have a get-togethers, right? I think every quarter, and that doesn't we don't count the numbers. If our budget allows, we can have more get-togethers, but definitely we try to meet almost every 2 months, maybe a small get-together in one place, or maybe the bigger one in another cities that we do. And
Right.
now we are also planning going to the other countries, right? So that's all depends, but definitely we try to meet in person too, right? For the some meeting, for the catch-ups and all, we do.
So it's not like, if you shifted to remote work, then it just you work behind a laptop screen as well,
No.
right? You have what you have designed is a system where people get to know each other slowly in small installments through various activities that we do
Personal podcast you miss.
remotely. Yep, the personal podcast is one.
Yeah,
And then you have these intentional physical get-togethers as well, which are longer.
right.
And you get to meet the team face to face and things like that. That's And what advice would you have for people who are struggling with remote work or making remote work actually work? Like, do you have some advice for all the people who complain on LinkedIn?
True. I think before even sharing that, Naragav, that I do have a challenge with it, I think why this is a challenge, right? What are the things that people are not replying? Maybe that's the challenge that people complain about it, that projects are getting delayed. That was the excuses that you get. So I think you need to ask yourself first that why this is happening. What are the things that you might not have supported also? So I think stop doing the micromanagement. One of the advice is that if you guys are working on one project, set the deadline, right, and let them do the work, right, because that is their work and they have to do, right. So I think when you stop doing the micromanagement, the things will definitely will improve, right, and not always like come up with the directory that this is the one thing that what we want to do. Take suggestions from your team that whether and even you know what, with all of the scenario, Raga, one thing that I would like to highlight, I'm not productive in the office right now. If I go to office, I'm not productive. What I do, I go and just chit chat. Okay, catch up. Okay, what's happening and all of this. I'm just productive at my workstation because I do have my time where I'm working, right? So I think ask if so we decided to go on in the office, I will not join the office. I'll say no, I'm not productive, right? So there is a say, right? I can say, right? So I think ask your team member that what are the challenges they are facing. Instead of making it a challenge, even ask them that is there a challenge, or maybe there are resources that you are lacking in. Because when the report setting are coming up, you have access to Zoom, you have access to Google Meet, and there are a lot of video conferencing app that we do have, and there are a lot of tools come up after COVID. You see, there are a lot of tools coming up, and I think my advice would be that look within your team that what is the thing lacking,
Right.
and what are the supports that team required from you. It's not that when they come to office they will be just sitting and they are doing the work definitely, but they are not in the right mind, right, because they do have their own setup, the workstation. So stop micromanaging, give them responsibility and trust them, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah. And trust is also, so how do you actually, this question of trust is a good one. What's your view on it? Because many people believe that, employees have to earn their trust, right? So initially when someone joins, you trust them very little. Then slowly they start doing things and then you start trusting them more. Um, for me personally, I adopt the opposite approach. I begin with 100% trusting the other person, and then
Mm.
they take actions to either retain that trust or then lose that trust very fast.
Right.
What about you? What's your approach? How do you build your own trust in your team? Like, how do you learn to trust your team? Because that's one piece of advice you gave, right?
Right.
And it's something that worries a lot of leaders. So, what's your thinking about it?
Okay, so you know what, Raghav? Sometimes, let's say that in the hiring process, when we hire, right? So we hire with the instinct also, right? That how we gel up, what are the, like, they do have a set of qualities, set of skills that they already know, right? But definitely we can't trust them from the first day that they will give their 100% on it, right? So I think we mutually building trust along the way. So that's why we do have a 6 month, you say 3 month or 6 months of it, like where we both are trusting, right? Not only as in a team, I'm trusting on you, the new person or maybe the team, right? We both trust each other. That's why we are working together, right? If let's say like how do I build trust in it? So you know what, when let's say take an example that a new person hired, like came into the system. So definitely if I'll not give them that assurity that yes, I have a belief in you, that the person will also will not give like what to say, will not give their 100% also now.
But
Like if
just
you,
now you said that uh, initially you can't trust someone fully.
right,
But now
we
you're
can't
saying
trust,
that unless you give the person the belief that you trust them, they'll not perform well. So
right.
how do those two, they seem opposites?
Yes, yes. So okay, let me. So let me explain. So Raghav, when a person is coming to me and I'm the HR, I'm the representative, I'm the person that who's telling that "Ki, this is the company, this is how we operate the company." And that started from the very first day,
Right.
right? When I received the application, I reported to them. So that's when the conversation started. And I also feel sometimes in the process, okay, this person can get hired, right? Because you get the instinct of how the person is behaving, how the person is replying, what are the skills, attributes that the person is having, right? So when with all of the processes that happening, I think the trust started, right? If let's say let's take an example. If you called the person for a meeting and the person joined at the same time, exact time, that also the trust, right? That person will join at 4 p.m. You ask the person, right? So I think that's where it started a little bit, and the person get hired. And what happened? Let's say the one person didn't show up for the interview. Your trust got to zero. I invited the person. I believe that the person will come on the time, right? And the person has not showed up. So you also have then question mark that what if I hire the person and the person is not disciplined about the timing and all.
And what about once the person is hired? Like,
Hmm.
do you start trusting that person fully from day one, or
I
how
think
do it?
no, Raghav. I think that's a process. Like it takes time, right? You know what? It's maybe it's a mind. Human mind works like that. Maybe my mind works like that. Is that I can't give you everything at one time. No, I trust you fully. This is the thing. I slowly and steady start giving you, right?
Right.
That one by one, and that happened even in the personally also, Raga. When you have in a conversation with the team, you don't start talking everything, right? You slowly and steady started building that trust. Okay, no, if I share this, the person will keep it to them. It will be not the things that like gossip and everything he will like. So I think that's the same thing professionally also happened.
And how do you build this trust remotely though? Because remotely it's a different thing, right? You might not physically meet that person for a long time until
Yes.
say the next get together or something. So how
Mhm.
do you build trust in a remote environment with a new joinee?
So I think the system that we have created here in Nirogam with the new joinees, we do have I think 6 months every day we are talking, we are meeting, we are communicating, and I think that is the one way to have build those rapport and trust with communication, right? Let's say that I am given you 10 tasks, you did it, and given to me, nothing is happening, no communication is happening. I'm just in the okay. It's working very casually, right? But when you have those communication with the person, and I think, and we do definitely in our process, 3 month processes, we do have a weekly check-ins with the person. I think in starting in 1 week, we do have a daily check-ins with the person. What are the things that you don't like? And I think there are a lot of communication starts from day one, right? And I think that's how we build our
How does
systems.
that how does that person earn your trust in a remote setting?
But so I think our how we operate, I think this is the one thing. Because when they day one they come, definitely they will be confused about us, and sometimes they say, "Wow, how many activities they do, guys? Like they are just meeting every time and like that." So I think in the remote culture, Raghav, it's like that they joined us because they showed some trust that this company is like, and I think that's the rapport that we build throughout the hiring process also.
No, what does the other person, the person you're hiring,
Mhm.
and the person who has now joined the company, what do
Mhm.
they need to do in order to earn your trust in a remote setting? Because oftentimes how trust is earned is, when you're working in person is like, okay, you see so and so person, they come to office on time, they are there, they are working, you give them the job, they are doing it, okay, they are staying also till the end, they are not gossiping too much, whatever else might be the things that get you to start trusting that person. In a remote setting, is it different, or how does that person earn your trust?
I think for earning that trust, I think communication is the one thing. If you don't like it, say it. If and don't like say yes, 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 and everything. I think that is the one thing that's really put me off. If you don't like it, say it, right? And sometimes it happened also that some person gave you feedback, like gave me feedback, not you, me. That Deepika, I don't like this, and maybe. So I think that's how we are trusting each other, and the person felt safe in saying to me, right? So I think communication is the one way I think you can build.
And what
Right.
about their performance at work? You're saying don't micromanage and just trust them to do the thing. then how does that new joinee earn your trust?
So as I said, Raghav, that the 3 month or 6 month things, right? We do here in Erogam is that we do create our set things in the 3 months project. Let's say 6 months is very long way to go. So we definitely try it for 1 month, and every 1 month we do have a check-ins. We do have a given set of responsibility to the person. If the person is doing good, we are taking that life test right now also, because with some of the departments we really do have a good system already in place, like in accounts you see you have a set of 4 or 5 responsibility that person has to do in 1 month. In the next month, the responsibility go. So a kind of a ladder we do have.
Right. So then it's a series of things that you have designed for
Yeah,
that person to go through, and if they are successfully able to go through it with the right attitude and
yeah,
everything, then they earn your trust.
they are. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So, and do you think it's also important to consider when hiring, the level of, what I mean to say is some people are more tuned to working in a remote setting. They can easily adapt to it. Some people just need to work with people physically, right?
Yes.
So having that, uh, is that some kind of filter you also use when hiring people?
So definitely right now, Raghav, you know what happened is that when we are hiring, so we have already decided the position will be the remote or the in office, right? So that is the you say the personality maybe one person seems tends to like remote working and one person is not, right? So I think that is the one thing you should clear out in your first or second meeting,
Yeah.
right? The expectation, setting up that expectations that you require to set up in that. I think the same accounts person, we do have a very clear expectations, right? That we want you to work from the office and you will be getting this system. Same happened with the remote work. We very clearly like set our expectations from you on the remote work. What are the things that we required from you too, right? So I think, and I think in our interview questions also we do have those set of questions that
Right.
what supports you required from us from if you want something. And also they can also ask us
Mm.
same question. So
Moving on to a different tangent,
hmm.
what has been one of the toughest lessons you have learned over your career so far? Some lesson that was quite harsh to learn or difficult to learn.
I think sometimes not to just listen, to speak up also. I think I do had a 4 or 5 instances with this only key takeaways. When I started working, every time don't listen also. You do listening is very nice, very good, but at a some listener, if you come with me for the anger, venting it out, or maybe if you some person is some HRs or some leaders are like that, they just don't want to say that whatever they want to say, right? So I feel that, but you know what, at some level you also have to speak up for yourself maybe, or for the role or responsibility that you have,
What
right? So
triggered
I
that
think
realization?
I think recent one sometimes the recent happened with one of our employees that she shared some personal feeling with me, right? And I chose not to speak about it. What I was doing it 4 or 5 times, I was just listening to her, right? And I think if I took one step ahead and do things differently, I think the things might not have come in that, right?
Right.
So I think I feel that if I chose to like not speak up at that time, right, and that led to that whole thing, right? So I think speaking up was one. It might not be directly speaking, but maybe indirectly somehow I have to manage it and speak it about it. I think so. That was the hard lesson I think I learned recently also.
Mm. And what continues to excite you about HR? Like many people from the outside think, oh, HR is just compensation, benefits, monitoring when people are clocking in, clocking out. Like now
Right.
you have been in this domain for many years. Um, are you still excited about it? Or are you like, okay, I'm just fed up now, now time to do something else?
So, you know what, Raghav? I think one thing that really excites me is hiring here. Hiring is one of the things that you're meeting different kind of a people, right? And you're talking to different one. Hiring is really excites me a lot. When the hiring comes now, I'm like, oh, now I do have I will have interviews, I will talk to person. That's really excite me. And another thing that here, why still I'm here, is that I think the way we operate, we changed it, right? We always change our processes. And I think that's the one thing that keeps me going here, right? If let's say that if I'll be the Deepika working on the same thing from the last 5 years, I might not have survived it. And
Right.
eventually I looked up for the jobs. Earlier also I looked up for the jobs because I think that no, now my role is over here. I'm getting the same things, right? So definitely I also get bored about things. But that is the one thing, doing things differently excites me here most of that, because a lot of time we changed our projects also, right? What we are working and different things we are coming up, that makes me going on also.
And how do you handle, because earlier when you were working, you would be told what to do, right?
Right.
Now it is you who must tell other people what to do or come up with ideas yourself. If you go to someone and say, oh, what should I work on? They ask you, you tell us what you should work on because you are the one leading this whole function. How do you handle that?
So I think the question set, right? What to work, why, and all of the things have always happened with me. What next for me? What next? I think this is a question every team member we had in our Nirogam have at some point of a time. That what next? What next? What next? And eventually you see. I think the one thing that I do prefer is that you see that I do have a monthly check-ins every time, every month we have. So I think in that monthly check-in also, not Raghav, there are a lot of things teams share to you. That Deepika, I think this is the one thing that we can change, and they say it very casually. But and when you are realizing and when you are thinking what to do next, and suddenly you got that idea. Some person said to me, I think, can I do something about it? Same with the Ayurveda challenge that we did, Raga. We
Right.
talked about it, right? And I think what we did is, me and Kajal sat together, and Kajal, we need to do it, and Kajal come up with it. So eventually it happened, and that's really happened very good way, in a very like brilliant way, that and everybody participated also. So I think that happened with the conversation. When we keep our conversation like going on with the team, you talk, brainstorm on something, and it always not with the purpose. Sometimes we do things without purpose. Okay, we want to do things in that way, and you come up with the idea, right? So that happened.
That's and is there any is there something you have wanted your team or other people to understand about you that you have not yet shared with them?
Some okay, not shared. Yes,
Professional,
sometimes.
your team.
Okay. So sometimes that I can also be upset about things. I think it always not that I HR like I'm smiling, so it doesn't mean that I don't get upset. I don't get offended what you were saying, right? I do sometimes,
Mm.
right? I do get upset about things, right? So some things like I feel that it's like whatever you said sometimes is not correct, right? So my team should understand that I shouldn't be saying this, or like, so yes, I might get upset, offended sometimes.
And how do you want them to handle that? Or when you say that you might get upset or offended about things, um, then how should your team handle that? Because one response could be that, okay, now they get scared about coming and talking to you about anything because you might get upset or offended, right? So what's your advice on how people should have a conversation with you?
Okay, so I think that happened with one of two here. Like they don't really speak up to me about the thing. They always say everything is fine, right? And you got to know that no, something that's bothering them, or like they will never say to you, and you indirectly get to them. So I think I personally go to the person and talk. Like listen, this see this, I heard this. What is the problem?
Right.
So I think I really talk because I think that's the one way, because indirectly things are moving ahead and it's coming to you, that person
But
felt
but
in that way.
but what if, now that you have shared that you also get upset about things, right? So for
Right.
example, if tomorrow I have to come and talk about something to Deepika, then should
Uh-huh.
I be scared of talking to Deepika that, oh, if I say something, Deepika might get upset? Um, what's your advice to me or other people on how to communicate with you?
Okay. So I think with me, I'm very good like listener also. You know what? One the quality communication. If you're communicating, the person should be a good listener, right? So you will even not senses that it might. I might get offended, right? But you know what? In the like conversation, I say I think you should not say this. I usually do this, and I think in your conversation, what I felt, I will quote in the last that
Right.
Raghav, I didn't feel that this is right,
Okay.
and I think I'm the person you speak to me,
So
and
we
in the
should
last,
pay attention to those cues that you give us when you
right?
say
I think
that.
in the
Right.
conversation,
So we
I
should not be afraid to come and talk to you, but instead we should
definitely not.
pay attention to what you're saying as well.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's a important point, and I think that's a good place to end our interview.
Yes,
Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it.
definitely.
How was it for you?
It was really nice. I think recapitulation of your all of the like thing happened in the past, present, how. So it was really good, and I think a lot of things we discussed here, and lot of ideas that we shared with your viewers, audience, right? I hope that they might get something from us,
I'm
and
sure they will. Thank you for your
yes.
time, Deepika.